It is a huge honor for me today to be podcast interviewing Trent McCord. I'm a huge fan of you on Dental Town. You have like 2,000 posts on Dental Town. Trent is a regular guy. He grew up in Arkansas, is a huge Razorback fan, and went to undergrad at William Jewell College in Kansas City, Missouri, that's where I went to dental school in Kansas City. He is a 2013 graduate of the University of Oklahoma College of Dentistry, where his claim to fame was cementing a post on a tooth that he hadn't obturated yet. Oops. Trent hated dentistry during his first year after graduation, but has spent the last few years figuring out how to do and enjoy dentistry. He opened up his own startup dental office in March 2016 in Northwest Arkansas, and while he doesn't exactly know what he's doing with his own business, he's winging it all right and learning on the job. He says he's just a regular average guy having a good time figuring out this dental gig. His new claim to fame is being the least distinguished person to ever be interviewed by Howard Farran. Like, you are so funny. So Trent, actually, the feedback from the podcast, viewers email me, howard@dentaltown.com, and a lot of them are saying, you podcast interview a bunch of old grandpas that have a lot of experience in endo and implants and all that, but a lot of the younger kids under 30, they're always saying, the dental students, first year out, they're saying, will you podcast interview younger guys? It's not it's not supposed to be dentistry for grandpas, and so I'm very excited. So tell us about your journey. What was it like in dental school? What was it like getting out? Where are you at now? What have you learned on your journey this early part of your career?
Man, dental school, I went to Oklahoma, and I had a pretty good time in dental school. I thought it was stressful at the time, but, made a lot of really good friends. It was what I wanted to do. I went to school every day with 53 other dentists that all became my good friends and kind of learning dentistry and really had fun with it. Got to the end of dental school and was like, I'm going to get out of dental school, then it's going to get even better. Life's just going to get awesome and easy. So I was real pumped to get out of school, and then I got out and went into a practice. It was a new practice in a corporately owned one in my area, and I started seeing a full schedule of patients, and I got stressed out in a hurry. I think I realized after school that maybe I didn't have the best stress management. So my first year after school was working in a busy office. I did 20 crowns in school, and then you're trying to do one in an hour with fillings next door and emergencies and pulling teeth and breaking root tips and you talk about drinking out of a fire hydrant. Really stressed me out.
Now, was this a corporate dental office that was in, 10, 20 states? There's basically 30 corporations that own 50 or more offices in multiple states. Was it a really big box or just a local corporate?
It was a local corporate that, had 50 offices that ended up getting acquired by one of the gigantic ones. So it was really, really good for me to have that many patients, to be able to go through that stress and learn how to be efficient and learn how to be a dentist. It was just real stressful for me. I'm like Mr. People Pleaser, want everyone to like me, and I don't know why I went into dentistry, where you stick people in the face with needles all day. But so I got out of school, and you start hearing that I hate the dentist, and this hurts, and blah, blah, blah. And man, I don't know. It was just it was a shock going from dental school and 2 patients a day to a full schedule and trying to learn what on earth. All these poor dental students are listening and are like, oh, do I really want to graduate? You do. Just hang on.
Well, try to tell me this. So what were your requirements to get out of dental school? How many fillings, crowns, root canals, dentures, and then how many weeks would it take you to do your requirements again in the corporate environment?
Oh man, I don't know. I think we did 2 dentures to get out of dental school, and those were with a partner. So both of those were my partner's cases. So I didn't really have a case on my own. That was my least favorite thing coming out of school. It's one of my favorite things to do now. Fillings, they did it based on points, but I guess it was a couple hundred fillings, maybe not even that many. I think 20, 25 crowns, 15 or 20 canals of endo, and then you get out of school and you're doing that depending on the week or a month easily. I was a month out of school and could have graduated again. I feel like.
And that's the point I was making. I thought the most amazing thing out of school is that you did your 4-year dental school requirements basically every month.
Yeah.
So every month you're added a whole nother dental school to your curriculum. I thought that was amazing. But hey, what advice would you give? I know a lot of those corporate people listen to these podcasts. I know they're huge fans of the show because they're trying to understand what's going on. Looking out, would you tell that CEO right now? Would you say, you know what, it was too much? Maybe when you get out of school, not double book, maybe one chair. Do you think they threw so much at you? It was kind of like going to war and it burned you out?
Yeah, to a point. Part of it was probably could have been my fault because I was a young guy out of school and didn't take control over my schedule like I probably should have. The other part of it was really good for me to go through. So yeah, I'd say be patient with new doctors and give them kind of a chance to do that. One thing I said already, it gave me plenty of experience. They're also real good about, I had a lot of really good CE opportunities. So, some of them are pretty good about doing that, sending you to courses and having other doctors to help teach you what you're doing. So, and you know what? Part of it's probably just me. I probably have a bunch of classmates, other dentists out there would have dove in and ate it up and did great. And I just balled up and stressed out. So that's probably part of being a basket case on my part.
Well, no, I mean, 14% of Americans will go to rehab, and it's the same number for dentists, 14%. Dentist has the same divorce rate as the general public, and life is stressful, and dentistry is a help. You know, my dad owned restaurants, and I didn't make the connection that when people come in and order a foot-long chili cheese dog, you almost can't beat the smile off their face with a 2x4. But then then I check with the profession, oh, I'm going to pull your tooth. Now they come in, and it's like, I did not register that in my brain that my dad always saw the happiest, best side of people. And then I always saw the darkest, worst side, scared, in pain, side of people.
I couldn't agree more. You got reasonable, great people that, this is the last thing anyone wants to do is go get a tooth pulled. So, yeah, we're definitely not in the business of selling.
And I just saw that I lectured in Albuquerque, which is my favorite lecture because my best friend from dental school, Craig Sykett, to practice there, and he always picks me up. And Southwest Airlines, their computer went out for 4 hours. And all the flights were delayed. They delayed an hour, then another hour, then another hour. Then finally at midnight, they canceled the flight, and then you tried again the next day. But it was so funny because people were just losing it. And I said to the girl when I got up to the counter, I said, "Are you having a bad day?" And she looked at me, she says, "This is the absolute worst day of my entire life. I cannot think of any day in my entire life." And she must have been 40. And she's just telling me, this is rock bottom, telling 140 people that you're not getting on an airplane, you're not going home, so it's kind of different. Occupations are different.
Oh man. Yeah. That was something I was not prepared for. People freaking out about having an airline canceled, and then they'd probably much rather be sitting there than have a rubber dam shoved down their throat and sit there cranked open with a drill whirring in their mouth for an hour, and they'd still rather be in the airport behind.
So how long did you work at corporate, and how depressed and burned out did you get in what period of time, and then how did you bounce back and recover from that?
I worked there for about a year, and then I realized it wasn't what I wanted to do long term. I wanted to have my own office, for better or for worse, be my own dentist and be an owner, have more control over some things. And so after about a year, I left there for another opportunity with a great dentist in my hometown. Was wanting to buy in and partner there, and then was there a few weeks and just kind of realized that, I wanted to do things my own way. And so that's kind of when I let him know so he could make plans, and left there and worked at an FQHC for 2 years while I tried to find a location, open my own office.
How long did you work there? FQHC?
2 years.
And explain to the viewers what a FQHC is.
It's a federally qualified health center. Basically, we saw most of our patient base was Medicaid, and then sliding fee discount, lower income population. In our area, we have a lot of Hispanic patients in our area, and so we had a lot of Hispanic patients, and so I was there for 2 years, and man, that was awesome. You talk about going from stressed out about everything to going to not having to worry about case acceptance and just doing amalgams and pulling teeth all day. It was much less stressful. Not what I wanted to do forever, but that was a good experience for me. And pedo, did a lot of pedo, which I hated at one point, and then now I really enjoy it, and I learned it because of that job there. So that was a great place for me to be while I researched and found where to build and open my own office, which we did back in April.
And that's in Centerton, Arkansas?
Yep.
And my sister lives up the street in Fayetteville, Arkansas.
That's right.
I got 5 sisters, and she doesn't drink beer. So next time I visit my sister, you're my new appointed drinking buddy in Fayetteville.
Deal. It's a done deal. You need to come visit your sister more often.
And we'll have a designated driver because my sister will chauffeur us around.
Okay, that sounds awesome. Or we can make my wife
while she's drinking Shirley Temples. What's that?
I said, or we can make my wife do it, but she might listen to this, so let's not make her do it. I'm gonna be in trouble for that.
So God, I almost want to do the whole podcast. How do you go from hating pedo, which almost every male I know over 40, I mean, if you said, what's the worst clinical, pedo comes out of their mouth first. How did you go from hating pedo to liking pedo? I'd like to hear that story.
Man, I don't know. So I always liked kids, and going into dental school, I thought that'd be fun, and so I thought it'd be awesome. And then I got out. When I got out and I was at my corporate office, I remember this little guy. He came in, and it was him and his sister, and Mom was like, "Oh, I'm so glad we found you guys. Are the only people in the world that take our insurance. You're our last hope." And the kid's teeth were in rough shape, and so I'm like, "Okay, we just got to do a stainless steel crown. Let's go. I don't remember how to do that. Let me go figure out how to do that." And so I started on this kid, and he we got the tooth reduced and then just melted down. And my assistant has no idea she hadn't done much pedo. I hadn't done much pedo. And then it was like being in dental school and the kid freaks out and just a faculty member comes over and fixes it. And it's like, oh no, I'm on my own. So I don't even know how we got through it. I'm shaking, sweating, and finally just got probably an oversized crown on there. And I don't know how we got it done. We got it done. And I was like, I'm done. No more. And I went up to the front desk and said, I'm not doing another kid under 10 years of age. You're not allowed to put any more kids on my schedule. And Mom was like, no, you can do it. You are only hope. So I'm like, oh, I've betrayed this family, and this kid's going to suffer the rest of his life because I can't do all the stainless steel crowns, which is totally stupid. I'm sure they found, we sent them to a pediatric dentist. It ended up fine. But that was my big experience out of school, was a very tough case. And so I was horrified of kids. And then went to my other job, worked with a doctor that, she's just awesome. She's a general dentist, but done pedo for years and years. And she just kind of here's how you do it. Here's how we do it. You do this. Walks me through it, did some easy cases. And it's just experience. You get experience, some good experiences under your belt. And then kids start getting upset. You know how to handle them. You get faster at it. And then before long, you're doing the hard part of being a dentist, but you're having a lot of fun, joking around with the kids, talking about Spider-Man or Princess Elsa. That pretty much covers every child.
Spider-Man, I know, but Princess Elsa?
Dude, you don't know Frozen? You haven't seen the movie Frozen?
Nope.
Oh my gosh. Don't you have a granddaughter?
I do have a granddaughter, and I feel so sorry for her because she's a granddaughter, and all she knows how to do is fish and hunt and shoot AK-47s and light campfires. And I got 4 sons. We haven't done a girl thing with her ever, and I'm always thinking we need to change that.
Huh. Well, I've got 2 daughters, so a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, and so Frozen is like nowadays version of Cinderella. And so, although it's a Disney movie, it's actually not a bad movie. You should check it out when you're, not shooting AK-47.
Well, I do. I'll go get that and watch it with Taylor.
Yep. Every little kid likes it, but you ask get some stickers in your office, and anytime a little girl comes through, let them pick out a sticker, and if there's an Elsa one, they'll pick it.
And Elsa is the Frozen lady in Frozen?
Yep, she's Princess Elsa. She's got superpowers. She can shoot ice and stuff. It's intense. It's almost like Spider-Man, but... So
what did you learn in pedo? Did you use a lot of nitrous? Did you sedate any? Or was it just going really, really fast?
We did, at the office I was at, they did a lot of conscious sedation with hydroxyzine and Demerol. And so I did that. I got the certificate and did that. It kind of, I don't do that in my own office. It made me, just a little nervous doing it, but it works pretty well. And then nitrous. Nitrous helped with a lot of them. Learning how to do a stainless steel crown quickly, and even pulpotomies and taking teeth out on kids, and more than anything is just how you act around them. You don't show them the needle. You don't say the word shot. You leave that to the parents, which they do a lot. But Yeah, inexperience just doing it and having another doctor to come clean up and help out if I got, stuck or something.
When you hear all the noise going on in dentistry, it's always associated with selling big ticket items, CAD cams, CBCTs, lasers. That gets all the attention because there's a big sell behind it. But on Dental Town, the most watched online CE course of all time was pediatric dentistry. Josh Wren.
Yeah, I watched that, and that helped me out too a lot early on. That guy, I need to go take his course one of these days. He's cool.
And yeah, he's damn cool. And the reason it's also so important is because the baby boomers had the Generation X, who had the millennials, and those millennials in 2007 dropped 4.7 million babies, and they're calling it the echo boom. Then you have Obama, who just passed that law that health insurance has got to cover dental for kids under 18. And you start looking at the demographics of the babies and the amount of billions of dollars flowing towards pediatric dentistry. And, everybody wants to talk about same-day dentistry or sinus lifts or placing implants, and that's all great, but there's like a hurricane brewing on the left side of that demographic table, and it's just getting bigger and building up steam. And the dentists that focus on pediatric dentistry. And the other thing about the pediatric dentists is, a lot of people don't realize that they do a lot of dollars in a very short amount of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, you can get a couple stainless steel crowns done in, so much less time than take you to do a couple class 2s.
Right.
And it's more, in my practice now, when there's one kid, you're getting like 2 or 3 new patients. You get the kids, the siblings, the parents, and it's not just one, it's multiple patients. So I love working with kids. I think it's a lot of fun, and we have a lot of fun with them. So,
and it's a huge, unique selling proposition because like every one of my friends in Phoenix, every single last one of them doesn't want to do a kid. None of them. It's just like, that is just the last thing they'd want to do. So you get rid of you get rid of so much of your competition because they just don't want to do a crying child, and the numbers are getting bigger, the dollars are falling, and so yeah, pedo is everything.
Oh yeah, it's pedo and dentures. Those are the 2 things that.
Well, talk about that. So I got to tell you something funny. When I got out of dental school in '87, they were predicting the end of dentures. The society was getting smarter, faster, all this technology, fluoride toothpaste, fluoride. It was the end of dentures. And now I've been out of school 30 years, and America does more dentures today than they did in 1987. So talk to us about your denture journey.
Well, first off, I'm in Arkansas, so I don't think they'll ever run out of dentures over here. Like earlier, I told you when I was in school, I did a couple of dentures with my partner in dental school, and it was, we just kind of fumbled along and read through the book on how to do it and got through it. And then so I got out and didn't really know how to do them. No one liked RPD because some of the faculty in RPD were difficult to work with. And so I got out and started having to figure out how to do dentures for my patients, and quickly learned, for just a kind of a dope head like myself, a denture is a full mouth rehab. Those ended up being my most appreciative patients. I'm still learning. Like, I'm not a prosthodont doing all these steps, and I'm sure faculty members in dental school would critique my border molding or whatever. But man, I did it. It would work. I did a lot of immediate dentures on these people that just had looked not good and been in pain and infected forever. And you take their teeth out, slap them with some plastic, and they're like, oh my gosh, I could smile. Guys come in. I had a guy who was like 30 years old, and he came in like the week after, just all sore, but he had shaved and cleaned himself up. He's like, I put my picture on Facebook. It's the first time I've ever put a picture on Facebook before. And, a week earlier, I'd taken all his teeth out, which is an intense surgery. And so for me, it's like, well, that's kind of fun. And people can afford it. You don't have to, it's not a full mouth rehab, buying a car, or do I get my teeth done? It's like, it's a denture. People can afford it. You can really make a big difference with patients. So that's why I've really come to like dentures. And some of my patients are tough, and it takes a lot of work, but we work through it, try to talk to them, set expectations up front. And I've had, knock on wood, pretty good success with having happy denture patients, and a lot of them are a lot of fun too. So,
that's the beautiful thing about dentistry. You can go in there like General Motors and get a high cost Cadillac, or a little lower cost Pontiac or Olds or Buick or Chevy. And what's neat about dentistry is you can say, yeah, your whole mouth needs root canal and crown, like all on four. It's $25,000 an arch. Well, that's $50,000.
Yep.
But if you don't have the 50,000, you can get a denture. How much are you charging for a denture?
We are, I think, $1,500 an arch.
Yeah, so there's a $50,000 all on four, but in this huge country of ours, the United States of America with 330 million people, Clear Correct, that's a all on four people, right? Clear Correct.
Thanks.
Yeah, they're doing about 17,000 to 18,000 arches a year, but 18,000 arches out of 330 million people, that's not a rounding error. So think how many times larger the denture market is. But that's what's weird about dentistry, because the high-end expensive stuff gets all the press, all the lectures, all the speakers, but really what's going on is dentures, fillings. Glidewell has always said that 96% of all their crowns that come in is one tooth at a time.
Yeah, that's my problem.
But 99% of all lectures are full mouth rehab.
Yeah.
And they're lecturing to a room full of dentists, and if I interrupt the speaker and say, okay, this is August, how many of you have not done one full mouth rehab this year? And like all the hands go up.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so who are you lecturing to?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'd rather be riding a unicorn with Elsa.
That's right.
I mean, that's more common. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
who did you learn from dentures? What CE did you learn? Or who helped your denture technique?
Dental Town. I just following case. Ryan McCall is he's on Dental Town. He's got a big thread on dentures, and Howard Chaslin has a big thread, which I'm not through yet. That I've actually gone back to start rereading through that one. An older thread on dentures. Man, reading through that makes me feel like a moron, because he's talking about all these techniques and things people do. I'm like, oh gosh, but. Yeah, just all those guys. I get on Dental Town. I don't know how to do something. I just search it. Taking out teeth, I learned from Tommy Murph just from reading through this big long. I got out of school, was breaking off root tips on every tooth and spending forever digging them out. And I spent 2 weeks reading through that thread, and then magically teeth started coming out in one piece. And it was like, well, that was probably the best CE I'd ever done, at least most applicable. And it was just, reading cases of other people doing and posting on Dental Town. So, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of denture lecturers out there.
Did you ever go to Tommy Murphy's course?
I need to do that.
Have you ever talked to him?
Just on Dental Town.
Yeah, I cannot believe every time I asked him to be on my show, because I love his thread. I'm a big fan. Because again, it's not sexy. I mean, no one wants to talk about an extraction, a denture, an amalgam, or a DO. That's not going to make the news. But do upper veneers, all on floors, a sinus lift. So what did Ryan teach you on dentures?
Dude, he just has a practice in Indianapolis, and all he does is take out teeth and deliver dentures. And so he just posts pictures of what he's doing. You can post a picture, he'll give you your feedback, and it was just, and not just him, but anyone else on there putting a case, commenting, asking questions, get an answer, like immediate dentures. I never done one of those in dental school, and so that's kind of where I learned how to do it. It's like, so you just pull out teeth and give a denture the same day, you can do that. And so that's kind of where I learned how to do it. Now immediate dentures are the happiest patients once if you prepare them that they're going to be really freaking sore for a while. Because you completely change their mouth. You completely give them a smile they've never had like in an hour. So it's pretty cool.
You said when you were working for corporate, you got some great continuing education opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
What CE opportunities? What did you listen to that you liked? You look back on and you could tell some kid that just walked out of school. I mean, this is August 9th, and 2 months ago, 6,000 kids just walked out of 56 American dental schools. What CE did you take, or what do you recommend? What did you take and like?
I took. Well, part of it was they had a lot of training on just how to run a practice and present treatment to cases or to patients, and how to communicate all the parts of dentistry that don't involve a handpiece. So there was a lot of training on that, which was pretty handy, because that's something you're dealing with patients day in and day out. How do I communicate with them? I went to an endo course in Tulsa, and I'm not too far from Tulsa. It was on wave one. So they had an endodontist break down the technique that they use for that. And, it wasn't just wave one, but more how are we going to get to working length? What's the step and the protocol we're going to go through? I went to some grafting and implant courses they put on, and I still haven't placed a graft or an implant, but it was still cool to go and learn about it. So
yeah, that company Tulsa Dental was started in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who started that?
I have no idea.
You probably weren't even born yet. You're only 29. It was actually Ben Johnson. People always say he's an endodontist. When Ben Johnson started, they didn't even have endodontists. It wasn't even a specialty yet. They just practiced limited to endo. But and his first big product was Thermofill.
Okay. Yep.
And it started until then it got later bought by Dentsply. But he was an amazing man. Talk about a good old boy from Oklahoma. When I got to school in '87, I called him up because I was having all these questions for him and everything, and I just flippantly said, I just wish I could fly to Tulsa and watch you do these all day. He goes, buddy, any day. When do you want to come? Southwest Airlines, Phoenix, Oklahoma. What is that going to cost you? $200? So, man, I jumped on an airplane, and he was, it was just an amazing man. I stayed with him all day, and then I said, I wish I could stay tomorrow, but I don't want to get a hotel and all that. And he's like, well, come to my house. Just sleep at my house. He was making those thermofills by hand. He was taking an endo file and gutta percha and rolling them like some guy rolling a cigarette in Kentucky. I mean, it was just amazing. But
yeah.
So you're liking pedo, you're liking dentures. Have you thought about mini implants under the dentures?
I've read and seen people do it. I signed up and I'm taking a course right now, an implant course in Oklahoma City. It's the McGarry Implant Institute. It's like a 4-weekend course because I would like to start placing some implant just because I see a need for it. Retaining dentures and just replacing a tooth for a patient, and they either can't afford or they just don't.
It's McGarry.
McGarry Implant Institute.
How do you spell McGarry?
McGarry.
McGarry. Now, did you pick McGarry because you're a Mick too? You're McCord, and he's
Yeah.
McGarry. And if they're not Irish or Scottish, you just don't want to do business with them.
Yep, that's right. In fact, every patient has to be a Mook. So if they're not, they can go find another office. But he's in Oklahoma City, and so I went to dental school in Oklahoma City. So I just go over there. I don't have to pay for travel or hotel. I stay with buddies. One of my buddies is taking the course with me, and another one of our friends took it last year and recommended it to us. So I just had the first session, and then the next session is next weekend, which has been good. I've taken the weekend implant courses before, but it's kind of vague, and I don't want to do anything and not know what I'm doing and mess something up. So I'm taking this one and really enjoying it quarter of the way through.
So it's 4 weekends?
Friday,
Saturday, or
Friday, Saturday.
Friday, Saturday, and so you've done 2 of the 4?
I've done one of the 4. The second
one of them was 4.
Next week. And at the end, we get to place an implant on a live patient, and then, it's got a cadaver lab. So I think this next time I'm going to be, cutting up someone's head, which will be cool, placing implants in the cadaver and all that. So, yeah, I'm excited about it.
Tell us about Trent. Is he an oral surgeon, periodontist? How did he start this?
Who, Dr. McGarry?
Yeah.
He's a prosthodontist. And so he comes at it from a very much restorative point of view. And so he's in Oklahoma City, been there a long time. I don't know how long he's had the institute.
So he's a prosthodontist who's placing them.
Yep.
And most of the prosthodontists cannot do that because it'll kill their referrals. So they have all these oral surgeons and periodontists sending them cases, and if they start placing implants, their business is gone. So this is a prosthodontist that decided that he was going to place them.
Yep. Yeah. And so he had mentioned that in the first one that he started placing them, and some of his buddies and surgeons he'd referred to, I don't think that went over too well with him. Right. But he's doing it as a practice. I'm sure he's mostly referral based from general dentists, and I assume doing well. He's got a nice practice teaching this course to several times a year. So
what would you say these young kids who've haven't gone on to Dental Town? So the 6,000 kids walked out from school. What would you say that Dental Town did for? What would you tell them about Dental Town?
Oh man, it's the practical dental school where there's all those questions they don't cover on a PowerPoint in dental school. You get on there and you ask someone a question and you get an answer. or you get on there and you find a thread that interests you and you read how to do it. That for me was probably the biggest thing helping me become a dentist and learn how to be a dentist was, man, I keep breaking off root tips. I read this Tommy Murph's thread, or, I mean, anything. You don't know how many times, it's probably embarrassing that I'm in there in the chair side and I'm like, oh man, what do I do? And I run back to the office and get on Dental Town and just type in the search function and ask something and come up with an answer and run back out. Okay, yeah, we can do this. It's just dental school's 4 years. I mean, no school can prepare someone totally for school, especially when they have to spend half the time teaching Krebs cycle and just, all that other stuff that I'm sure is really important to being a successful dentist, but I don't know, hasn't really helped me out too much.
I think of the thousands and thousands of hours I spent learning geometry, trig, and calculus, and I just look at those hours and like, what the hell? And then I look at that time, especially in dental school, all those weird classes, and I know this sounds crazy, but I'm absolutely serious, and they didn't have PE. I mean, I look at the stress of a dentist, the 14% that go to rehab, the divorce rates, the suicide rates, all these things, and I think to myself, they're just killing themselves, all the stress all day, and can't you take like one of those Krebs cycle courses and just have PE? I bet if every dental school, every college, I mean, they've even taken it out of high schools. I mean, You got an obesity epidemic, you got a substance abuse epidemic, you got all this stuff, and they've taken PE out, and it might be the most, sleeping 8 hours at night and getting 1 hour of exercise a day at PE might be the smartest damn thing we ever gave our children, and they took that out to replace it with, English literature.
Yeah, which I'm sorry for all the English teachers listening. I did not like to read until I got out of high school, and because I had to read Jane Eyre and Scarlet Letter, and it was like, okay, so reading books is horrible. It's about just some horrible story, and it's sad. That's what in high school we had all these books that are terrible to read, and then you don't want to read, and so now I read, and it's like, oh, yeah, this is a lot of fun. But I mean, how much good is that doing? At least and then get into dental school, and I know you got to take these classes. The only reason you take them is to pass a board exam. The only reason you pass a board exam is so you can get out of dental school and never use it again. So, I don't know. I'm sure there's their reasons for it, but in a story, it's not enough time.
Yeah, their reasons for it is to provide jobs for instructors. So the reason they can't teach something new in dental school is because since you're dealing with finite number of hours and semesters and all that, to put in something new, you have to take something out. Well, if old man McGregor's been teaching the subject for 30 years, you're not really going to go up to him and say, hey, dude, we're going to take you to a vet and have you put down because that stuff does not matter. So they can't, the human condition, trying to please everybody and be nice, they can't go in there and be, they can't subtract.
Yeah.
And that's also an issue that I think a lot of dentists are going to have to figure out when they get out of school. You're like 100 years ago, a doctor just treated your whole body. Just one doctor, your whole body. The end of the century, there were 58 specialties with the MDs and 9 for dentists. And what a lot of these young kids don't go out is that there's not enough hours in the day to learn sleep medicine and Invisalign and ortho and placing implants and bone grafting and sinus lifts. And to master all that, I mean, if you believed you could be that Superman, Elsa, dentist, Batman, and Robin, if you believe that, then what are you really saying? Are you saying that 100 years from now, there'll just be one super physician and there won't be any specialties? When America publishes 40,000 healthcare magazines for physicians, doctors, and dentists a month. I mean, I know an eye doctor, he doesn't even do glasses. He doesn't even do the eye. All he does is the retina. You know what I mean? I mean, he only does. He doesn't even care about all the other stuff. So it's getting so specialties that when these dentists say, "Well, I want to add sleep medicine and I want to add Invisalign," a lot of them, as they get older, when they're young, they like blood and guts and surgeries and root canals. But then when they're 50 and they're blind and have readers on and they don't have the energy, they're like, "I want to just do like ortho, short-term ortho, Invisalign, so just stuff where the assistants do all the work." And all that stuff, but when they add those skills, they have to take things out, and they'll say, okay, now I'm going to refer out all my endo and surgery and implants. So if you're going to add something, my first question is, are you prepared to take something away? So where are you at now? Did your practice open?
Yeah, we opened in April. April 11th was our opening day, and so now we're going on month 4, I think, and it's going well. I opened it. I wanted to open in my hometown, but got a demographic study, and it's like, well, you got 15,000 people and 9 dentists, and this town over here is close to Walmart headquarters, and it's got 12,000 people and 1 dentist. So,
oh my gosh, you found a 12,000 to 1?
Yeah, that's where I went, and it's like 3 miles from Walmart headquarters. So everyone.
You mean Bentonville?
Centerton. It's Bentonville's next door. Centerton is like West Bentonville. Actually, they're about to open up a high school in August.
So you're right up the street from Bentonville.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is ground zero for Republican capitalism, or not Republican, capitalism in America. I mean that's the biggest company in the world.
Oh yeah, and that's almost all our patients. It's kind of fun. They come in, where are you from? And California or anywhere but Arkansas, and it's like Walmart, and they're like, yeah. So almost everyone here comes in because Walmart, and then all their vendors are here. So tons of employment and a lot of young families, young professionals, and so it's been a really good place to open a practice.
So what's it like living in the backyard of Walmart? I mean, it seems like whenever you get that big, most of your press is going to be throwing rocks at you. I mean, you don't really get that good a press when you're that huge. But what's Walmart like to you? What's it seem? What kind of company does it seem like to you?
It's pretty fun because it's most of the people around here, they're employed and employed well, like working for Walmart. A lot of people is like, well, I worked somewhere else for years, and then I got an opportunity to get on at Walmart. And it was like that was the end goal for a lot of people in there, because it's the biggest company in the world with tons of room to move up and just huge amounts of opportunity. It's also fun because there's a lot of people around here, especially older people, that if you worked for Walmart in the 70s and 80s, like you knew Sam Walton personally in this area. So there's all kinds of people like, well, I remember when Sam was working here, and you've never heard a bad word about Sam Walton, at least in this part of the country, ever. Because, he knew these people personally, would shake their hands, check on them, see how they're doing, and just was passionate about his employee or his associates. And so that's kind of fun to see all these people that, they could have retired a long time ago, but they work for Sam, they love Walmart, and they're staying there until they die.
Now, his wife, Helen, is still alive, right?
Yeah, Helen, and
he's got a daughter and 3 sons.
Alice, and he's got his sons. I'm not for sure where all of them are. It helps we've got a lot of nice things in the area too. There's a real nice museum in Bentonville called Crystal Bridges, and you go to Arkansas and you would not expect this nice of a museum. And I think it was Helen Walton, funded a lot of that.
What's the museum? What's in the museum? What's the genre?
Art? I don't know. I'm not real artistic.
Just paintings or stuff like that?
Paintings and sculptures. They had a Norman Rockwell exhibit come in a while ago. So I had a patient work there the other day. We were talking about it. I was like, how many dollars are in there? And she's like, I don't even have any idea, but it makes me nervous working there because there's like more to steal where I work than anywhere else, like within 1,000 miles. Well, probably not.
Well, Ryan and I, we were just in London, Paris, and Glasgow, and so we thought, well, we're in Paris, we got to see the Mona Lisa. The Mona Lisa was the least cool thing in the whole deal. There were so many cool statues and paintings. We're not artsy-fartsy, and we just were oh my God, that was the coolest day. What was it called, Ryan? The Louvre? Oh, the Louvre?
Louvre?
Yeah, that was amazing. So your office just opened.
Yeah.
So you're talking to thousands of kids right now that are working for corporate. They're like, oh, okay, I want to do that. They're scared. How do they go from corporate to there? And furthermore, 4 months into your opening office, shouldn't this be like rock bottom of your whole life? Shouldn't you just be like laying on the floor crying right now, sucking your thumb with a blanket? How is it 4 months into the abyss of free enterprise?
It's awesome. Well, okay, part of it is nerve-wracking. Just, I wake up in the morning, and on days I go into the office, I'm like, okay, just deep breath. It's going to be okay. I'm not going to, nothing bad's going to happen. So there's that kind of anxiety of something new and big. But it's been fun. It's been going real well. Any younger dentist, I'd say get to where you're comfortable with dentistry first, at least somewhat comfortable. And then from there, find somewhere where you're needed. and go get on Dental Town and read all the threads of people doing startups and then start your own. So I've done that. I have a thread on there, and then, I get people on there all the time telling me what I'm doing wrong or what I should do or how to fix it. It's awesome because I can get on there and be like, this happened. I have no idea because I don't even know what my front desk is doing right now. I'm like, okay, here's how to handle that. So been a lot of learning on the job for me.
Well, what's how that saying goes? When you're 20, you're worried about what everyone thinks of you, and when you're 40, how's the saying go? When you're 20, you're worried about what everyone thinks of you. When you're 40, you're worried less about what everybody thinks of you. But by the time you're 60, you realize no one's ever thought of you. And what I've noticed on Dental Town from '98 to 2016 is that the human condition is not to be transparent. Everybody wants to go in their house, shut their door, and they want to be all private. And the counterintuitiveness of going on there and saying, hey, I'm at a fork in the road. Do you older guys think I should go right or left? And letting everybody share with you what they think. And all you guys like you, I mean, you've been out of school 3 years, have 2,000 posts. I've been watching this from 1998. I mean, you remind me of Samir's, Tarun Agarwal, all these legends that were, they're transparent. And because, there's 7 billion people. So why are you afraid to show someone that you did something wrong or you got a decision or you don't know or you don't have perfect information? And the guys like you, I mean, what you'll be the ultimate success. I mean, that's why I wanted a podcast interview. And look at what you did. You nailed the demographics. Talk about that because they all want to go to downtown LA and build a dental office that overlooks the beach, or they want to go to New York City and overlook Central Park. They always want to go to the biggest city. They always want to go to an area that has a dentist for every 300 people. How did you get smart enough to know that demographics mattered?
Well, part of it was I was lucky in the fact that I grew up in Arkansas and wanted to live here, which it's not exactly a destination that draws people. We don't have a dental school. So
you don't have a dental school?
No dental school. So I went to Oklahoma. A lot of them go to Tennessee or UMKC to come back to work in Arkansas. But yeah, so there's no dental school, and I grew up here, so it's kind of home for me.
Where was home?
Home is a town called Siloam Springs. It's like 30 minutes away. So it's right on the Oklahoma border in the area. So that's where I grew up, and that's where I wanted to open an office or join an office, and then just figured out, through Dental Town, there's this thing called demographics, and all that stuff matters. And so I got a demographic analysis done. And
who'd you get it done by?
Practice Cafe. They're a marketing company in Houston or
right.
Austin. So, and they've done all my marketing. It's been awesome. So we've been.
Now, who's the so Practice Cafe? They're in Austin, Texas. You said
yes, or Houston. They're in Texas.
I did not know Practice Cafe was in the demographics market. I mean, I've known those guys forever. Wow. So let's talk about the Practice Cafe demographics.
Yeah.
Smart. So you had them do a report. What talk us about that? How much did it cost? How long did it take?
I think it took them a couple weeks. I think it was like $500, and it was just of Northwest Arkansas, the area I wanted to be in. And so basically, I got back this report with all these little bubbles on it, that overlapping radii that say how many people live in there and how many dentists are in the area, and then income and family size and all that stuff in these bubbles. And then once I got that, I went and cross-referenced it, like with Google Maps, to make sure, where all the dentists were. And so there were these 3 little bubbles that were all the purple color or whatever it was, saying, here's your best spot. And they were all right on top of each other.
But was it your best spot for like a close area, or was it for like the whole state of Arkansas, or how did you set up the parameters of this?
All of Northwest Arkansas. So that would include Springdale, Bentonville, Fayetteville, Rogers, and Siloam.
How big is Bentonville these days?
I think Bentonville's like 35 or 40,000. So
isn't that amazing? The headquarters of Walmart is in a town of 35,000.
Yeah, well, probably 30,000 of them work for Walmart.
Isn't that just mind blowing?
Oh yeah, and so I don't know. Demographics, like they need a dentist here, and then there's other reports like in Arkansas, like where houses are going and all that stuff. And so I was able to see those, and like Centerton's putting up more houses than Bentonville.
So Practice Cafe, well, you knowing to get demographics, I would say was the most important decision you ever made? I mean, if demographics don't matter, then I say, then great, then graduate from dental school and go to Soweto, go to Tanzania, go to Ethiopia. I've been to all those countries. If demographics don't matter, go to Somalia. Demographics matter more than anything. The fact that you found a 12,001, your claim to fame is now being the most distinguished person that I've ever podcast interviewed you.
Actually, it was 12,001. Now it's 6,000 because I have those numbers. But still, it's working out well.
Oh, it was 12,001 before you got there.
Yeah.
So that's incredible. So did you learn about demographics first on Dentaltown, or did you call Practice Cafe for marketing and then they talked to you about demographics?
No, Dentaltown, and then went to breakaway practice seminars with Scott Luna, and they're in San Antonio. And so that was one. And Scott he posted his whole startup story back in 2005 or 6 on Dentaltown. And so I somehow stumbled across that, which is like very fortunate.
That's a 100-page thread that should be a book.
It's huge. And I read through all of it, and that was just like...
How many pages do you think that was?
Oh, it was, I don't know, probably over 100 pages. But he's got a couple different threads on different startups he's done, and they're all just...
You know what you ought to do? You just print that out and make the Scott Loon book and then start selling it, make some money.
I know.
And he's so busy, he'll probably never find out.
That's right. That's going to be the plan. Hopefully he doesn't find out. But so I read through all that, and it's totally free. And it was like... in dental school, you don't learn how to manage a practice. And so I'm seeing all this stuff about demographics and marketing and how to build your office so it's efficient and all that stuff. And it was just a gold mine. It was all free. And so then I ended up taking the course, and I took my wife with me, who's the conservative of the two of us usually, especially finances. And afterwards she's like, why don't you just open your own office? Because before that, I'm like, I can't open my own office. I got to find something else. Too much stress. I don't know what to do. And so having her there was probably one of the best decisions ever, too, because then she's like, open your office, do what this guy says, you're going to be fine. And it's worked out.
So you just opened your office. How long you been married? And you said you had 2 daughters, 4 and 1?
Yep.
And so you have 2 daughters, 4 and 1. So you've been married, what, 6 months?
A month.
A month?
Yeah.
You don't have to talk about that if that's too personal, but a lot of people are thinking, I can't open up a practice because I started a family. You can't start a practice and start a family. Or I don't want to risk, I got a wife and 2 kids. I got this sure thing at corporate. I'm making good money. I can't really go risk my whole livelihood when I got a wife at home with 2. Does your wife work, or is she at home with 2 kids?
No, she works. She's a nurse practitioner. So that's how we've been married for 8 years. We got married before we got out of college, that was the best thing I've ever done. And then had our kids.
So you got married at 21.
I did.
21 because you're 29.
Yep.
Good, yeah. And now you've been married 8 years, you got 2 kids. So you went through dental school married.
Went through dental school married. That was good.
Now most, the divorce rate's pretty high for married people going into dental school, wouldn't you say? What percent of your classmates that went in married came out married?
There was a handful of them. I don't know the percentage, but we had a handful that didn't quite make it.
Well, when you go to school 40 hours a week and you work 40 hours a week and you study 40 hours a week, where do you have time for a marriage? You got to have a really long-term view of your relationship to go through dental school together. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was. I've been fortunate. My wife Sarah is just. She's the smart one. She's the world. When I was in dental school, she was working and getting her master's as a nurse practitioner, and then we had a kid, Collins, our 4-year-old, and she put us through all of it. And then, of course, opening this dental practice is a financial burden because you have to take time away from the other job, and then you plan on how long are we not going to have a paycheck and all that stuff. And so she's worked straight on through and put us through it, and gets home, takes care of the girls. Like, I'm the luckiest guy.
Okay, so you didn't buy a practice. So you went, and what did you do? Did you buy a building? Did you go rent something in a retail center? What'd you do?
I was going to rent something in a retail center, but so spent like 6 months negotiating with it. Just didn't end up working out. And so I knew I wanted to be in Centerton, so I went down to the city hall because there's a bunch of land for sale through there, no businesses. And I was like, who owns it? Who can build me an office? And so it turns out there were a couple people that were more than happy to do a build-to-suit situation. And so I talked to 2 different ones and ended up going with the people that built me an office, and I mean, I didn't have to pay for the build out. So they built it up. I pay my monthly rent, and it was a really good situation. And so my landlords have been awesome. It's a beautiful office. So it's a standalone right now, but they're about to add on to it. And it was farther into Centerton, the demographic I wanted. So it worked out perfect.
So how many square feet is it? How many ops did you plumb for? How many did you start equipped with?
800 square feet or 2,900 square feet. And then we've got 8 operatories in there. We started with.
Damn, you built a beast, didn't you?
I know. They were. Yeah, I did. I don't know what I was thinking. Actually, I was hopeful in the demographics, and my thought was these guys are paying for the build out. I would rather be in a situation in a couple of years to grow into the space I have than to be limited by it, because I've heard that from a lot of doctors.
So you rented 2,900 square foot, 8 ops.
Yep.
And I've been in this game 30 years, and the number one complaint of starting an office or getting a boob job is they did it too small. I'm not kidding you. Every single dentist in 30 years said, oh my God, if I had to do it over again, why did I rent 1,500 square foot? I wish I had 2,000. I wish I'd done 3,000. Talk to any plastic surgeon. 95% of all women who get breast augmentation are upset that they didn't go 100 cc's larger. I mean, it's just, so you think in fear and scarcity, and then what happens is hope, growth, and abundancy. And so good at you, mate. I mean, 2,900 square foot, that's not that big. And 8 ops, I mean, you are poised for growth. So then the next question is, when you opened, how did you get a new patient? You said you used Practice Cafe for marketing. Did you start talking to them before you opened? Did they plan you a grand opening? Did they do direct mail? Was it Facebook, Twitter? Talk about that.
They Practice Cafe did our website and all office stationery and a mailer campaign, direct mail campaign, which is, I mean, we've done a ton of mailers and it's working. The other is a good location. We have a nice big 32 square foot sign out front, or whatever the max the city would allow, along with another large lit build sign on the building, and in an area where this is the main road on the way to Walmart, so everyone drives by it. So everyone sees it. So we have a lot of visibility.
So you're on a main road, 2-lane, 4-lane?
4-lane. 4-lane. Okay. It's 4 total lanes, 2 going east, 2 going west. Is that 2-lane or 4-lane?
So you would say new patients was first location, having a 32 square foot sign on the biggest main road through town.
Yeah.
And then second, you said would be direct mail?
Yeah, I would say actually direct mail may have ended up catching up being the biggest, and then direct mail and the sign drives them to the website, I think, which then people see and call us. So we get a lot of calls from the website, and then like Facebook, I've just been doing that on my own, that's a lot of fun. We did our first week open, a storm blew through and blew a trampoline into our parking lot, and so I posted on Facebook, if we can find the owners, I'll buy them a new trampoline, and then this family came in, is like, it's our trampoline, and I was like, okay. So I bought them a new one, took them to the house, took it to their house, took a picture, put it on Facebook. People ate that up. It reached like 15,000 people, just because it's a small community. People being involved.
So a storm came, blew a trampoline in your parking lot, and you post on Facebook, if you find the owners of this trampoline, you'll buy them a new one.
Yep.
That's genius.
And since then, I didn't boost it or anything. And since then, I've boosted posts. I don't really know what I'm doing with that either. But I've done all that, had a good return. But hands down, the one that's reached the most people has been just doing that, posting it as an afterthought one evening. It went over really well. So that's what Facebook's been fun, because we can interact with our patients. I can get on there and comment. People ask questions. We post videos and silly stuff. It's not serious at all, which I think is part of why we like it. It makes dentistry not quite so serious.
The best marketing I ever did, and in fact, it was so good. I had 3 or 4 dentists from across the street bring it over to my office and asked to see me and hand it to me and just laughed. What it is, every time I had a baby, this city's called Ahwatukee, but it was annexed by Phoenix, but everyone's always going to call it Ahwatukee till the end of time, because that's their identity. And every time I had a boy born, Eric, Greg, Ryan, and Zach, I took out a full-page paper in the Ahwatukee News and said, Dr. Howard Farran would like to announce his new patient of the month, Eric Farran, weight, time, birth, and I'd get 1,000 Hallmark greeting cards, and little grandmas would come in with knitted booties. And that was amazing. And the other thing I did, which didn't leave a dry eye in the house, is it made the Ahwatukee newspaper that they had a special needs kid who was about my age, and he rode a 3-wheel bicycle all around town, and he rode it to the grocery store, and someone stole it, and everybody was, the paper's doing a story on about how sad it was. So I just called the guy and said, well, come to my office and we'll get you a new one. So we went and we got him a new one, and the newspaper came out and took a picture on his brand new replaced bike, and he was all happy and smiling, you know, it had the big flags on it and everything. Oh my God, that touched everybody's nerve. You know, some dentist bought it, you know, the guy a bike, because everybody sees him riding down the street all day.
Yeah.
But that's the real marketing.
Well, and that's the stuff that to this day you're smiling, tell me about it. You had more fun doing that than he probably did getting the bike. And and just sharing that with people, doing those kinds of things it's been a lot of fun for us in our office. We're trying to be involved in the community, and actually when I get done here, I'm going to meet the new football coach in town, and so we're doing a donation to the football team and cheerleader teams, and he's like, yeah, come by, I'm going to give you a tour of the new school and all this. And so
is this high school then?
Yeah, Bentonville West High School.
So are you going to get into mouth guards?
I've thought about it. I should. It's I know I need to get one of the. I'd probably want to get one of those BioStar, make them in office, but I don't know. I need to see what that would cost and do that. But I think I've heard of people doing that. Gary Takis has talked about that. I've heard him talk about that in the past. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Make that for the football team, and then do whitening or something for cheerleader, and do that. It's just a matter of finding the time to do it and implementing stuff.
So 4 months in, how's your new patient flow? I mean, did you get new patients? Are you busy? Are you paying your bills? Or are you selling plasma on the weekends?
Yeah, we've had about 100 a month.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy numbers.
I just added a hygienist. Probably waited too long to add a hygienist, and so we had 17 new patients yesterday, which that's not normal. That was a bunch of kids, family bringing.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, in fact,
if you're listening to this, it's demographics. Oh, obviously, you're glad you were born in the United States and not Honduras. I mean, obviously, demographics are everything. And the fact that 2 out of 3 dentists go to the 114 metros that have half of America, and only 1/3 of the dentists go to the 19,000 towns, which has the other half of America. And then what I don't understand is they'll join the Navy, who will put them in an aircraft carrier and send them 6 months across the Pacific Ocean without their wife and kids. So they'll take a job where they can't even be with their wife for half a year because they don't want to go to, Centerton, Arkansas. Really, you go to Okinawa without your wife, but you won't go to. I mean, why don't you go to rural, crush it? And then if you really want to end up in Little Rock, well, then in 10 years, why don't you could bring in 2 associates. You could be corporate. In fact, you could just go around Arkansas in the next 10 years, opening up a office here where there's no dentist, an office here. I mean, if you truly wanted to live in, downtown Manhattan or whatever. I mean, I know dentists in Bakersfield that wanted to live in LA, but they knew they'd never make a dime. So they go to Bakersfield, they work 4 10-hour days, then Thursday after work, they jump in their Porsche, drive to LA where they got a condo overlooking the beach, and they live like rock stars Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then drive back to the meth capital of the world and do dentistry and dentures and extractions and amalgams, So, yeah, so I got to ask you, where's Mint Dental Care come from? Mint.
Man, that comes from my wife and I, we could not come up with a name to name the practice for the life of us. And so I don't even remember who came. It was either her or I, but we were trying to come up with something like not Trent McCord DDS, something that would be marketable. And if we had other dentists in the future, it's not going to affect that. And so we spent months trying to come up with a name. And then and one of us was like, what about Mint? And we thought, I was like, well, that's simple. That's easy. It was time to make a decision. I needed to pick out a name for marketing. So that's just what we went with. So, and it's worked out well. It's been real marketable. I think all our stuff looks nice, but I guess there's other Mint Dental Care or Mint Dentals out there. We got a new patient from a guy, he went to one in Dallas, I guess called Mint Dentistry. And then he came moved to our area. He's like, hey, I'm coming in. I was at your Dallas office. I'm like, we're not that same office, but he's been awesome. He's come in.
I think it's a great name because my whole life, everyone I've ever met said, "Dude, you need to eat a mint," and
same here, Howard. That's what it's from. Bad breath.
So go back to so you thought practice the cafe was a good return?
Yeah. I mean, we're seeing, over 100 new patients. I think now that we added our hygienist, it's going to be a lot higher this
Okay,
month.
well, let's go back to you graduated from Oklahoma,
Yeah.
and so University of Oklahoma is that Oklahoma City or was that Norman or Edmond?
That was Oklahoma City.
That was Oklahoma City. That's University.
Yeah.
So that was OKC.
Mm-hmm.
So then what was in what's the other one? Is it Norman, Oklahoma?
The University of Oklahoma is in Norman, and then the Health Sciences Center, med school, dental school, PA, all those schools are in Oklahoma City they've got hospitals and stuff.
Yeah, so when I was your age, when I was little, the medical schools and dental schools were in those little cities, like KU had the med school there and all that stuff. But then they realized you're not going to really teach doctors to be good with the little patient pool of 35,000. So they started realizing that we'll leave the med school in Lawrence, but we really need to move the clinic to Wichita because they got 400,000 people, and so it takes 400,000 people to get that kind of exotic caseload. And and the best residency in the world. When kids always ask me, where should you do a residency? I always say, in the biggest, poorest area you can ever find in America. You want to find a city that has 1 million poor people, and they all come here, because you'll see everything known to man. But if you go to what's that?
You get so much experience.
But I want to ask you this. This is a debate. So we look at 30 corporations, dental bug boxes that have 50 locations or more in multiple states, and 2 out of 3 of their dentists are female. A lot of people are asking, when you were in school just 3 years ago, 2013, what percent psychographically of your classmates wanted to someday own their business versus how many of them just overtly said, no, man, I want an awesome 8-to-5 job. I don't want to deal with any of that. I guess what a lot of people, baby boomers, are saying, how do millennials think? How do the millennials think in dental school?
I feel like most of us wanted to own our own practice. I can't say for sure, aside from, the people I hung out with a lot, but it was kind of, go to dental school, you're going to get out, and no one's really talking startup, but you're going to go find an older doctor, he's going to retire, you're going to take over the practice or buy in and partner with. So at least at our class, that's what I feel like everyone wanted to do, as opposed to going to work for corporate. Now, most of us went to work for corporate right out of school because there's jobs readily available. A lot of people thought they were going to buy I thought I was going to buy an office right out of school. It didn't work out, and that happens a lot.
Are there any rumors on like what corporates are better or have better features than others, or do you not want to go there because you don't want to offend anyone?
I went to Pacific Dental Services, and I know he's had a really good experience, really liked it. I think he bought in as a partial partner or something, so he's had a good experience. The one Heartland is the one. I worked for Heartland briefly. I worked for another regional corporate, and then when I was on my way out, Heartland bought them or took them over. And I mean, I was impressed with it because I went through their training and then saw, and I have some buddies still with them in the area, and seen the CE that they've been able to go to. And Heartland has like a kind of like a dental, like a big email thread that all the doctors are on, and they can post questions. And so, I mean, I was only with them for like a month or two, but I was impressed with it. I mean, I think it's a great opportunity to learn how to be a dentist, and get some CE, and then have other doctors to talk to. I mean, I have that with Dental Town. A lot of doctors don't have or know about Dental Town for whatever reason. They're not on there, but in Heartland, you can post an email of an X-ray, and you're going to get a bunch of feedback. So I mean, I think that helps young doctors out. I'm not against it. It serves a purpose. I don't know. There's good doctors in corporate dental offices, or what we're calling corporate dental offices, and there's good doctors in private offices, and there's bad doctors in both too. So
I know people like everybody was freaking out over the Catholic Church. I mean, my 2 older sisters are Catholic nuns. I mean, yeah, you have a gazillion priests, you're gonna have some bad apples. Same with police officers, you're gonna have some bad apples. Same with dentists. I mean, people are people. Doesn't matter if they're a policeman or whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter if they're a policeman or a priest or a dentist or a prosthodontist. You're always going to have some crazy ones. But I can't believe we went 5 minutes over. It's an hour or 5. That was the most fun hour. I had so much fun with you.
I had a good time too. Imagine how much fun will be when you come to Arkansas for some beer.
Oh my God! And I gotta tell you, to things to my homies out there listening. There's two states that no one ever talks about that are the most gorgeous states in America, and it's Arkansas and North Carolina, and they're both exploding in Charlotte and Arkansas. You got 4 mild seasons. So when I was little, I grew up in Wichita, Kansas. So it would be about a 6-hour drive to go trout fishing. And was it the White River?
Yeah, down below Beaver Dam. Was that? It was the White River.
And my God, we would go there and catch trout all day long, and then clean them and roll them in flour and Cracker Mill. I mean, it's some of the best days of my life. But I mean, it is so gorgeous, and you don't have those brutal winters like you have in Chicago and Detroit and Manhattan, and the overhead in Manhattan. I mean, all the smart companies are moving down into Charlotte. I mean, why do you have your employees work in Manhattan when it costs $30,000 a year just to park your damn car? I mean, and Walmart is the lowest cost structure, period. And where do they go? To Bentonville. And I remember when the American Dental Association was, they raised dues because they needed to spend 20, 30 million bucks. They got an old building on 211 Chicago Avenue. And I always thought to myself, they're trying to raise 20, 30 million dollars to fix up this old building. If they sold that building, they could buy a building brand new 10 times bigger in Arkansas or South Carolina. I mean, so, when you're on that type of overhead, I mean, it's crazy. And there's so many dentists that are in downtown San Francisco, downtown Chicago, downtown Manhattan. And it's not only are the demographics like 300 people to one dentist, but the overhead is completely insane. Yeah. And then whenever I meet a doctor who's 2, 3, 4, 5 years out of school, and last year goes, yeah, I collected $1 million and took home $350. Every single time they're in small town rural America. So good at you, mate. I think you're a flippin' genius. You are the most distinguished person I've interviewed. Big fan of your post. Counterintuitive. All your classmates are afraid to go post. They're all lurkers on Dental Town. I mean, look at the numbers.
I've got a post of them. Like a couple of them are up to 5 or 6 posts.
So they're all afraid that they're going to look silly or dumb by asking a question. They don't want anything bad about them. And the truth of the matter is there's 7 billion people. If you knew how many tens of thousands people die every single day, you don't know any of them. So it's completely counterintuitive to get on Dental Town and say, hey, I'm fresh out of school. I come up to a fork in the road. Should I go right or left? And let everybody help you make the right decision, and you'll just be crushing it. So
you're not going to get more dumb than I am posting on Dental. so don't worry about that.
No, you're just a good, humble kid. And that's another thing I like about you is that when you look at the Harvard Business Review and they try to look at CEOs, what traits do they have in the highest 10% performing and the lowest 10%, and every time they've ever done the study, they always say that the upper 10% return investment CEOs, they were always humble and listen to their employees and listen to their customers, and the bottom 10% were always arrogant. I have a vision. This is what we're doing. Me, 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 me. And the people that are crushing are like to their employees, well, what do you guys think? You think it's a good idea? What would you do? Customers, is this good? So thanks for being humble. And thanks for being counterintuitive and getting on Dental Town and sharing everything. And I just think you're just amazing.
Dude, this is awesome. Thanks for having me on, Howard.
And when I visit my sister Kelly, I'd love to go see your office.
All right, sounds good. If I'm ever in Phoenix, can I come see yours?
Hell yeah.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely, buddy.
I'll do it.
All right.
Sweet.
Take care.